Welcome back to the High Impact Vlogs channel. Albert Bourla, the CEO of one of the most corrupt organizations known to mankind, Pfizer, describes his VAXX and his pharmaceutical products as weapons before quickly correcting himself. And let me just remind you, this comes from NIH.gov. They say Pfizer has been a habitual offender, persistently engaging in illegal and corrupt marketing practices, bribing physicians, and suppressing adverse trial results. That's how bad Pfizer is. It's resulted in over a $2.5 billion outstanding lawsuit against the company for pharmaceutical malpractice. He says, quote, "The pandemic reminded us when we have these weapons, tools, that we must find ways that they reach all and not only those that can afford them." Listen to this.
Do you think the pandemic has perhaps it's reminded the world of the power of medicine, the power of science? Has it reminded your industry of its responsibility to the whole world rather than just those rich countries that are lucky enough to be able to afford great medicines?
I think both are true to a very high degree. I think the world realized the value that the vibrant life sciences sector can bring to society, but also reminded of us when we have these weapons in these tools, we must find ways that they reach all and not only those that they can afford them.
They got to reach everybody, not just those who can afford them. Let's listen to that again.
Also reminded of us when we have these weapons,
Yeah, tell us about those weapons, Albert. So ask your doctor if a soft kill bioweapon is right for you. In the midst of crazy inflation, runaway food prices, and people that can't even afford to put a roof over their head, Trump says he's going to sprinkle a couple of breadcrumbs out to the peasants.
We're not highly levered anymore. Now, with that being said, we'll pay back debt, but we also might make a distribution to the people, almost like a dividend to the people of America.
How much are you thinking for that, sir?
Well, we're thinking maybe $1,000 to $2,000. Be great.
Inflation is costing the average American household $2,500 to $3,800 extra dollars per year, and he's going to sprinkle back $1,000 to maybe $2,000. Give them bread and circuses, and they shall never revolt. Get ready to break out the tissues because the IRS workforce has been slashed in half because of the government shutdown, which means taxpayers face longer wait times and service delays as the agency suspends call centers and administrative functions. FakeStream News is reporting that nearly half of the IRS workforce, or 34,000 employees, face furloughs as the government shutdown enters its second week, with the agency rolling out a contingency plan to keep key tax enforcement, data security, and filing season operations running despite the lapse in congressional funding. In a letter to staff on Wednesday, the agency said most operations would shut down. The contingency plan, which takes effect on Wednesday and runs through April 30th, 2026, details how the IRS will operate without new congressional funding. Hey, why don't we take this opportunity to just stop the funding altogether? Because the IRS has what it takes to take what you've got, and Americans can't afford to be pilfered from anymore. As of July 24th, 2025, the IRS employed 74,299 people, and during the shutdown, only 39,870, or about 54%, will stay on duty, though it's unclear which positions will be retained. Key operations will continue to include tax processing to safeguard government revenue. We got to continue plundering the American people. It's just the American way. IT and data protection systems, criminal investigations, casework involving bankruptcies and liens, and disaster relief support. So the terrorism unit, the economic terrorism unit, is still intact. That's criminal in and of itself. We can't fund government operations to help the American people, but we can help the part that acts as a mafia crime ring, making calls, knocking on doors, and breaking kneecaps. However, taxpayer services, including call centers and most administrative functions not tied to life or property protection, will be suspended. The IRS's lapse appropriations contingency plan outlined operations for the first 5 business days of the shutdown and said the agency would continue limited operations using the Inflation Reduction Act funding. The furlough stemmed from a funding impasse between President Donald Trump and Congress that has forced a government shutdown with no clear resolution. But we're going to continue taking money from people who can't afford it. I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm fleeced. Or the land of the free and the home of the slave. This representative says expect increased wait times, backlogs, and delays implementing tax law changes as the shutdown continues. Taxpayers around the country will now have a much harder time getting the assistance they need just as they get ready to file their extension returns due next week. Every day these employees are locked out of work is another day of frustration for taxpayers and a growing backlog of work that sits and waits for the shutdown to end. You notice that's all you are to them? You're tax cattle. You're taxpayers. You're not Americans. You're not free. You don't have unalienable rights to pursue life, liberty, property, and happiness. They're here to take your property. And the shutdown ain't going to stop them. According to exemption rolls within this policy, about 53.6% of staff, or around 39,870 employees, continue working without pay, focusing on essential functions like revenue collection, enforcement of tax laws, and processing under the 2022 Inflation Reduction Act. They say a prolonged shutdown could hinder IRS efforts to implement new tax laws, recover from prior backlogs, or handle upcoming deadlines like tax-exempt organization returns. And the historical precedent was the 35-day shutdown from 2018 to 2019, which shows a recovery can take up to a year. But don't worry, the revenue pirates of the IRS will eventually get paid because they say furloughed employees are entitled to retroactive pay once funding resumes. And that's per the 2019 Government Employee Fair Treatment Act. Because even robbers and thieves need fair treatment. And finally, FBI Director Kash Patel says there simply cannot be and will not be different rules for different people. One system of law and order from this FBI. Unless you're covering up for the largest organized pedo crime ring. Right, Cash?
You know, it's the same thing with Epstein's list. It's like, what the hell are these Republicans doing?
You say that the FBI has Epstein's list. They're sitting on it. That doesn't seem like something you should do. You're protecting the world's foremost predator. That seems like an evil thing to do, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list. Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are.
I want to just be very clear. Republicans could get Epstein's list out now? Like, how would that process work?
Simple. One subpoena to the FBI. Give me the list.
Who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book?
FBI.
But who? That is I mean, there's.
Oh, that's under direct control of the director of the FBI.
You know, it's the same thing with Epstein's list. It's like, what the hell are these Republicans doing?
What the hell is Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and Pam Bondi doing? Thanks for stopping by. If you enjoy this content and you want to support the channel, you can do it for free. Just like this video and share it with everybody you know. Leave a comment. It helps combat the algorithms that are always against channels like this. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell notification icon. And the shirt link was broken for a long time. I don't know how long, but if you want to grab a shirt, that link is working now. Remember, truth is treason in the empire of lies. Lies are treason in the empire of truth. And we're not going to stop until the truth shatters all lies. I will see you in the next video.